Welcome to No Stats, where we call it how we see it. Peach is ugly.
Back again with another one. Back again with another one.
Back again. Before we jump into the next NFL team preview, make sure y'all share, like, comment, send it to a friend. Hit that bell so y'all stay alert. Subscribe, because me and Peach gonna keep giving y'all this content, even though he is ugly. You know, he be saying some
Tough want to
smart
look
stuff
like me.
sometimes. No, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Keep doing y'all thing. We're gonna keep doing ours as always.
Send the love, man. Send the love.
Watch the handle, it takes skill. We gotta run it back. We in the field, and you said it exact. You in your field, we looking for the facts. Let's keep it real, yeah, we talking no stats. Yeah, we talking no stats. Yeah, we talking no stats.
We have the New Orleans Saints up next, right? Just wrapped up with the Atlanta Falcons. If y'all haven't checked out that video, go check that out. See our predictions. But now we move on to the Saints, right? This is a team that the only team in the division that we know has an upgrade at quarterback. They get Derek Carr, a guy who's put up some nice numbers, has some really good seasons, some playoff games. They get him in there not as their quarterback of the future, right? Older guy, but a guy that can come in and win now, and help that team get over the hump and get into the playoffs and maybe make some noise, right? Have some other things going on. Got some nice key additions. Lost some players that should be able to help the team out. But again, it's one of those divisions where it could go either way. 8 wins can get you a home playoff game. So let's just jump right in. See what we got and take it from there, brother.
Absolutely. I'm a little skeptical on as we was dissecting the Saints. I'm a little skeptical on how they finish this division or even finish this season with the Alvin Kamara suspension. This is also a team that lost, besides from Cameron Jordan, they lost damn near their whole front seven. So are they going to be able to stop the run when they run into these run-heavy teams? I do think they're going to put up an insane amount of points. Derek Carr has Chris Olave. They got Rashid Shaheed. Am I saying that right? You still got Michael
Shaheed
Thomas.
or something like that. Yeah.
You still got Michael Thomas. And Shaheed's very dynamic. Big fan of him last season. I thought he had a real good season last year for the Saints. And then you, I know you lose Alvin Kamara, but you bring in a veteran guy like Jamaal Williams, and then they're gonna kind of be relying on their rookie
Miller.
running back. Yeah, so the two things that I'm skeptical about is just the Alvin Kamara suspension and can this defense stop the run?
I think those are phenomenal points, bro. Well, so much of that D-line depth is tough, and you're going to depend on these rookies a lot. Brian Breesy from Clemson and Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame. Can they come in and be impact players immediately? Would it take them some time? I mean, these are rookies we're talking about. And like you said, not only stopping the run, we need to generate some pressure. If I'm playing against the Saints, I'm a double. Let's send 2 guys. Let's stunt at Cameron Jordan. Get the running back, the chip. Put our attention there, and let's see if the other guys can win one-on-one. So that's tough, because if you can't get pressure on the quarterback, it's going to make it tough. And they lose some linebacker depth as well. We don't have them up here that, not big names, but contributors to that defense, right? Making some plays, giving you valuable snaps and minutes. Andy Dalton walked, of course, but like I said, it's an upgrade. They have Derek Carr. They still have Taysom Hill, who's playing all around. I mean, comes in at quarterback. He lines up at running back. He lines up at tight end, receiver. Just a phenomenal guy to have fullback. He plays all around the offense. He's a weapon, which is good to have, right? They lose Adam Troutman at tight end, but they bring in Foster Moreau, who had that cancer scare. The Saints found that cancer. I forget the type of cancers. Excuse me for that, but glad he's doing well and he'll be on the roster. So that's phenomenal. Really, really, really happy to hear that. And he's a beast, right? LSU product. Played for the Raiders last year with Derek Carr, so from some familiarity there can be security blanket. And like you said, bro, this offense, man, Chris Olave is one of my favorite young receivers. Going to be a beast. Question mark around Michael Thomas. Can he still produce at that level that we used to, seeing Michael Thomas at? Had some years off, injury. Can definitely take your career in a direction you don't want it to go into. But if he can be solid and show 80% of what he was, I think they'll be okay offensively, like you said, bro. Jamaal Williams, a guy who might have led the league in rushing touchdowns. I think he did. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
He was on Detroit, right?
Detroit, yeah. Was a beast. I like Jamaal Williams. He gonna get dirty. He gonna bring some of that culture. I'm not sure if the viewers or you watched Hard Knocks last year, but they did Hard Knocks on the Lions, and he just brings a bunch of energy, emotion, leadership, verbally and on the field to this team, which is gonna help them out a lot. They draft Kendre Miller from TCU, who just had an amazing year, right? And like you said, that Alvin Kamara suspension is going to mess them up because that's a dynamic guy. But if they can get him back with Jamaal Williams and figure out that 1-2 punch, and then you got Michael Thomas, if he can play, right? It's a lot of ifs. If he can play, like we expect Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, I think is pretty solid. And, Derek Carr, the offensive line needs to stay, give Derek Carr a chance to throw. And then one of the Go ahead,
bro. No, I was gonna say, because we've been saying this throughout the last couple division breakdowns of how a lot of these teams are reliant on these quarterbacks. These quarterbacks have to take that step. I felt like Derek Carr had a lot of down seasons. Didn't play up to par the years that he was with the Raiders. And I know last year, they got Devontae Adams, but I think that defense was atrocious. They couldn't really get stops and stuff like that. But I think this year I want to see Derek Carr in the playoffs. I want to see Derek Carr taking this Saints ball club to the next level. And I feel like that's where he's at in his career. Everything's on there. We're watching you, Mr. Carr.
I think a lot of this, bro, another big question mark, bro. And this is a reason for a lot of these quarterbacks like Derek Carr, right? I think Derek Carr is really talented, has some great years, but that coach-quarterback marriage needs to be on point, right? You need to give him ample opportunities. You need to make sure he has the pieces around him. You need to put the system in place that matches his gameplay, his throw style, what he likes, what he don't, know his likes and dislikes. Put the receivers around him that match, his mindset, what he want to see in the scheme. Dennis Allen, as a head coach, is a defensive head coach. You know how I feel about defensive head coaches in today's game. So it'll be interesting to see what the offensive coordinator does. You know what I always say, bro, how important coaching is in the NFL. It's so important. So I want to see how they mesh. If they give Derek Carr what he needs to succeed and get into that playoffs. And like you said, the defense is going to be a big question mark. I think the defense takes a step back. Offense takes a step forward. That's pretty much my
a lot of points. Just are they going to be able to get the stops? Key stops too. I think a lot of this league is really about key stops. You got a team that could be pulverizing you all game, but then you could get that one stop in that fourth quarter to really shift the dynamic of how the game's been flowing all game.
Agreed, bro. And then outside of being in the NFC South, you're in the NFC. Not taking that away from the NFC, but outside of the Eagles, they're pretty top heavy. I mean, if the Saints are in the AFC, I don't think they even sniff the playoffs, me personally. But in the NFC, right, you got the Eagles, you got the Niners, making the playoffs wise, you got the Cowboys. I mean, those are the three, I guess you could say, guarantees, but everything else is really up in the air. You can win your division. Maybe you can get a 7 seed. If you don't win your division, they're the favorite to win a division right now. And I think rightfully so because they have a proven quarterback. But yeah, let's jump into this record prediction, bro. See what we got.
See what we got under the hood, man. At the no stats schedule calculator.
Yeah, another 7-10, right? Like the Falcons in the last video. Tied for, I think they were technically finished third in the division, but tied for second. Game out of first. But let's jump into it. Week 1, home against the Titans in the dome. A lot of hype around Derek Carr. First game. I think this Titans team is, trending in the wrong direction. Downward spiral. I think the Saints get this win here at home opener, big win. Week 2, they go to Carolina, and I think this is going to be more of an upset on the Saints' behalf than a win on the Carolina's behalf. It's a division game. On the road, they got 2 back-to-back road games. It could flop between week 2 and week 3. Packers could get this one, but I'm giving the Panthers here just a familiar foe. Frank Wright, I think, can outcoach Dennis Allen. And I think Bryce Young could get his first win here against this Saints ball club. So week 2, got them taking a loss there. But week 3, they bounce back. They beat the Packers week 3 on the road. I see this being a high-scoring game. I think this will be Jordan Love's fill it, everything out game. Right? All right, I'm a starter. I think it starts to click. This is my team. Figure some things out. But I think the Saints, I'm giving Derek Carr the edge here at quarterback. And giving them the win there, bro, on the road. I don't think they're going to lose both of those. Then week 4, they're at home against the Buccaneers. And I think they get that dub there pretty handsomely. I don't think Baker will be able to exchange with Derek Carr at a fast enough rate. So I can see that being a 27-17 Saints win. First 4 weeks, how we looking? I'm looking at week 2 and 3, bro, and I kind of want to switch those, but it's a minute.
You know it's crazy. I think this Saints team could start off 4-0. That losing on the road to the Packers, I can definitely see more than I can see them losing to the Panthers on the road. But those are still both winnable games on the road, and I could see the Saints team. Derek Carr's rolling through the first 4 weeks. He may be leading the top 5 in MVP voting. Riding that hype train. I think that the Saints have a good chance to be 4-0 going into week 5. But
I'm not going to argue that at all. I think that's very, very possible. That they could be 4-0. Wanted to give them a loss on that 2-game road trip. But like you said, bro, they 2 teams with new starting quarterbacks. I mean,
the travel is skeptical though. Like when you factor it in, you're going from Carolina and you're going all the way to Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly. And the Carolina game is just division games are so weird, bro. They're just so weird. You just lose those games. I mean, was this last year? I'm speaking because there's no team I know better than the Cincinnati Bengals, but we got shellacked by the Browns, bro. I mean, the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row, Super Bowl appearance, played the Browns on the road and got killed. We were no match for them. So sometimes it's just division games. You just know the team well. I mentioned the Eagles losing to the Commanders. That was their first loss, right? So those division games get kind of weird. So I just gave them the nod there. But I could definitely see 4-0.
Right.
Jumping into week 5, I'm going to go 5 through 10 right before the bye. Week 5, they're at the Patriots. I think this is tough. I think Bill Belichick will, defensively throw a lot at Derek Carr. He's played against Derek Carr a few times. I think this will be a really close game. But in New England,
14-10. Bill.
I think New England's going to figure it out, bro. And we mentioned his defensive line and how skeptical and young it is. I think they're going to run Ramondre Stevenson. Big Ramondre Stevenson game here. Mac Jones throws 1 touchdown, 190 yards, but Ramondre Stevenson and his defense will get this win here at home. Then they go to Houston. I think that's a win. I think Houston still has a lot to figure out. Back home for Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville, this will be a shootout. I can see this being kind of a shootout. 2 questionable secondaries. I know Marshawn Lattimore is over here in New Orleans, but Calvin Ridley back. this should be a 31-28 game. Jags.
Mm-hmm.
But then they go to Indianapolis and the Colts. Still trying to figure out their quarterback situation. I think that's a W. And then they're home for the Bears. Bears could make some noise here, but I'm giving the Saints the benefit of the doubt, giving them the win at home. And then week 10, they're at Minnesota. I think Minnesota defense is kind of skeptical, but I'm giving Minnesota the nod here. Justin Jefferson have a big catch to put them in field goal range and win that game by a field goal. But all in all, through 10 weeks, the Saints look good. I mean, they're 6-4. I mean, not the best of records. Very well could be 7-3, like we just mentioned, but 6-4, what we have right now going into the bye. And for those that watched the Falcons video, I think we said that too. We said they could be around 6-4 going into the bye.
6-3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, 6-4 going into the bye, bro. How you like that first half?
I like it, bro. I think it's really, really doable for this team. I know you mentioned the Bears down there, who I said in the last segment could surprise a lot of teams this year, but I think it all makes sense. I think playing at New England is going to be very tough. I can see them really pounding up on the Texans, getting that shootout with the Jaguars. That Colts game could be tough. But I think coming off that Jacksonville loss, I think this team is going to be ready to come out and handle business. And like I said, bro, I agree with everything. It's a little skeptical about the Chicago Bears, man.
Yeah. I mean, the NFL did them a favor. If you look at those first 10 games, bro, there's Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback by a mile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the only quarterback I think is better than Derek Carr.
And they could.
I mean, you argue Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins. But
I think they should do their work. Like, they need to do their work these first 10 games.
Exactly.
Like, do your work.
Exactly.
Like, once you get that bye, what is that? 10. That's 10 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm 7-3, I'm feeling good.
That's what I'm saying. And it could very well be 7-3, bro. It could very, very well be 7-3 going into the bye. But 6-4, we'll get into what we would change, like we always do. So they come out of that bye week, right? And they do have 2 weeks to go into the Falcons, right? But I think they're kind of feeling themselves right now. I think going into Atlanta, with it being on the road, I think they take the L here, bro. I think they underestimate the Falcons. Again, division game. I think the Falcons find a way to pull this one out. Then they have to play Detroit, albeit at home, but I think Detroit is just a better ball club right now. The trajectory for the Lions is crazy. I think a lot of the public expect the Lions to be a playoff team, and I think they pull that win out. Home against the Panthers, W, but then they have Giants, Rams. I think the Giants playoff team last year, I like Brian Dable. I think the Giants come into New Orleans and pull that one out 23-20-ish, 2017. Then they have to go to the Rams. I know the Rams aren't projected to do a lot this year. Didn't do a lot last year, but this is a team that just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. If Matthew Stafford is healthy and Cooper Kupp is healthy and Aaron Donald is healthy, I think Aaron Donald could cause some havoc. Sean McVay is still a top coach in this league. On the road, Rams get the win there. You go to Tampa with some pressure behind you, and I think they'll beat the Bucs. I think the Bucs might scare them a little bit, but all in all, the Saints will win that. In Week 18, bro, for the division against the Falcons, you know,
playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, and it's at home. As much as I want to lean the Falcons, I'm going Saints at home. I think Derek Carr is just more proven than Desmond Ridder. And I think he'll get it done, and Saints finish 9-8. So a little preview on who's going to win the division, I guess. But Saints 9-8. What you think, bro, about the whole, record prediction, the whole schedule? Before you give me your games you would change, what you think about the 9-8 record?
I agree to it, man. I think this is a ball club that's, like we said in the beginning, they're gonna put on points, but can they get these timely stops? I think they need to secure stuff in the beginning of the schedule. I think the
Mm-hmm.
the format after the bye could get a little sticky. I think week 12 through 16. I mean, if you follow the trend a little bit, I think this is a team that could bounce back after losses, as you see in week 2 and week 5 and week 7 and week 10.
Mm-hmm.
I can see after that, coming off that bye week, losing to the Falcons. I can see them bouncing back in week 13. I can see them bouncing back after that Giants loss, and I know it's tough, playing the Rams, but 9-8
Seems right.
seems right. Yep.
The crazy thing is, bro, I mean, the NFL, and it's not technically the NFL, right? They finished third in the division, but when you look at the quarterbacks on this list, Derek Carr is the better quarterback, or at least a more experienced and more proven quarterback in a lot of these situations. You play Ryan Tannehill. You play Bryce Young, who we haven't seen too much of yet. You play Jordan Love, who's just getting his starting nine. You play Baker Mayfield, who's being bounced around the league. Mac Jones, C.J. Stroud. Trevor Lawrence is one, right? Then you play the Colts, whether they're starting Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew. Justin Fields, who's still trying to break through that ceiling. Kirk Cousins is two. Then you play Desmond Ridder twice, right, in week 12 and week 18. Jared Goff, I put him at 3 as far as a third quarterback that is in that same range as Derek Carr. Panthers, again, rookie. Giants with Daniel Jones, who knows? You play Matthew Stafford. But it's not a lot of top-tier quarterbacks. I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence, man. They do. So
good schedule.
But go ahead, bro. As we always do, let me know what you think. What wins could be losses? What losses can be wins? Whatever. What would you change in the schedule? What can you see differently?
I mean, honestly, bro, you kind of hit the nail on the head with a lot of these. Like I had stated before, I think that maybe that week 13, I like the 4-0 in the beginning, and week 12 through 16, I can't really see this ball club during that stretch, maybe going 1-4. I guess I could see them either getting a win with against the Lions or win versus the Giants at home. I think that stretch at the crib, I think they can get one of those at the Dome. So
I like it.
What you think? I know you made this, but what you a little skeptical about?
Yeah, I think if I had to change anything, bro, I think the ceiling for the Saints realistically is 10-7, maybe 11-6. I think that week 2 Panthers game may be a little early for Bryce Young. Now that I got to live with it and talk through it, I think maybe they can start off 4-0. Outside of that, I think that Patriots game is gonna be tough. I think the Jags are a better team right now. Falcons game is going to be tough. Maybe they could pull that out, but because it's in Minnesota, and it's kind of later into the season, and that's outside, that's not a dome. So
they might be ready for that bye week too. The team be wanting that break after that stretch when you get them deep into the season.
Right, and maybe they can win coming off the bye. 2 weeks to prepare for the Falcons. Not a far trip from New Orleans to Atlanta. So maybe those are the 2 wins that I could see. I think the Rams, the Giants, and the Lions will outduel them. So if I had to change 2 or could see 2 losses turning to wins, it'd be Panthers and Falcons. But then that leaves you that leaves you undefeated in the division. Can they sweep the division? Can they beat the Panthers twice, beat the Falcons twice, and beat the Bucs twice? That's what makes it tough. So maybe one of those games, 10-7. But right now, 9-8. You still win a division, Saints fans. But let us know what y'all think.
Please let us know, Saints fans. What do we mess up on? Did we give y'all too much love?
Man.
Or not enough?